I just got done with court. This is a video a lot of you have been waiting for. A couple of months ago, I said once everything is all settled and done with, I'll explain a lot of the events that went down after everything's all finished with. One, not very happy right now because I'm out thousands of dollars. But let's take it back to my son's birthday on March 20th. On my son's birthday, I took him to a guitar store and he was shopping for the guitar of his dreams, lots of guitar things. And once we were all done shopping, we were driving back home, stuck in traffic. My phone rang. I had family visiting from out of town. They said the sheriff deputies are at my house and they need to serve me paperwork. I had my family member put the sheriff deputies on the phone and they said, "Take your time. No rush. We'll be here when you come back." I explained it's about a 10 or 15-minute drive because of traffic. I get home. I park in my parking lot. I help my son bring all of his bags in, his new guitar. It's very terrible that this had to happen on my son's birthday. I bring my son in the house. He goes upstairs. I go back outside. I shut the door, and the sheriff deputies were patiently waiting, and they meet me, and they were kind of in disbelief. He said, "We have a court summons from South Dakota that needs to be delivered to you. It's a petition for an order of protection." And I'm like, "What?" And they said, it doesn't say you have to appear. It says you may appear, but if you don't appear, they may or may not issue an order of protection. And they looked at me and asked, "Do you have any plans of visiting South Dakota anytime soon?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, we just had to deliver this." And I said, "Okay, thank you so much." And they said, "Yep, no problem." It was totally crazy. I called the detective because there was an ongoing investigation for things that I'm not getting into right now. And even the detective was in disbelief. Like, what could have possibly happened in South Dakota? What could this person have possibly said for this court to even hear it? So I patiently wait, and I had retained attorneys back in February for unrelated things that were all together related to cyberbullying. And so I called my attorneys and I asked that they could represent me in court because this is scary. This is something I've never been through before. My attorneys explained it's going to cost a $2,000 flat fee upon any additional court fees. So the attorneys filed for pro hoc vice in the County Circuit Courts of South Dakota, Sioux Falls. And after several weeks of back and forth emails, which all cost me so much money with the court systems, their request for pro hoc vice was denied. While my attorneys they practiced multi-bar in several states, they were not certified to represent me, licensed to represent me in South Dakota. And since they were denied, I was out a couple $1,000. And so they explained they found an attorney for me and they got me in touch with someone who charges like $350 per hour. And he already decided that he would charge me 10 hours, which is like over $1,000 to $2,000 or more. You do the math. 10 hours times $3,000 or 10 hours times $350. So I passed, and everyone working together provided me with a Zoom meeting and password. And so I went to court alone through a Zoom meeting because my attorneys are who set up the Zoom meeting, and they put a request in that I appear by Zoom. They did a lot of work for me, and they weren't able to represent me, so I had to go by myself. And when I went to the Zoom meeting, the petitioner didn't bring evidence. So the court date was postponed. And in between then, April 15th, and now, what happened is the guy who filed for the order of protection had a girlfriend who hated me, who was cyberbullying me, who I guess coached him to file for an order of protection against me. That's what he alleged on his videos. I don't know how true that is. They're both grown adults, And then he posted videos saying that they broke up and that she's the one who told him to file for it. And so Between now and then, just 1 month, they broke up. They had this very dramatic breakup on social media. And then the sheriff deputies knock on my door and they have to deliver me a court summons. And the court summons was from that rescheduling, the postponement of the next hearing when I was in the Zoom call, the Zoom court hearing. And I received a summons. And I had to go to court May 20th. And then the next day, after I received the first court summons, the guy posted a video saying, I'm dropping everything. I just did the paperwork. I'm dropping everything. This doesn't mean I support Adrielle, blah, blah, blah. I'm dropping everything. And then the next day, 2 days after the first sheriff deputy knocked on my door, a sheriff deputy knocked on my door the next day and said, this is a court summons. You have to appear in court in Sioux Falls, South Dakota on May 20th. And I said, 2 days ago, a deputy came here and delivered this exact same summons. And he said, oh, you know what? They didn't check mark it in the system. So it was in the system that we had to deliver it still, even though it already was delivered. Well, I'll make sure we check it now so we don't accidentally come again to deliver the same summons. This is for an order of protection, mind you, and we're over 1,000 miles apart. I don't communicate with this person. I don't know this person. I met this person like once in my life when I was living in Jamestown, New York, and that's all there is to it. I don't know him. You know, I accepted the summons, and this guy kept posting videos saying that he was dropping everything. So I was like really confused. People were sending me these videos. I don't know where he was posting these videos because I didn't have TikTok at the time, and I'm assuming they were posted to TikTok, but people were like messaging me these videos and saying, you need to bring this to court and show them. Well, I had never received a notice that he dropped everything. And so time goes on. Fast forward, it's May 20th. And I have the Zoom meeting code, the password. I enter the meeting and I'm just sitting there waiting. There's no court so far. And I'm in the room. It says I'm in the judge's meeting, but I'm waiting for them to approve it. Finally, after waiting so long, I call the county clerk of the court, the circuit courthouse. And the county clerk explains to me that they're so sorry they didn't notify me, but the petitioner submitted the paperwork and dropped everything. I said, okay, can I please file for restitution because I'm out $2,000 for my attorneys? And she said, unfortunately, the whole case is dismissed. It's totally gone now. It's done with. It's no longer like in the system. And this also is not a case in which you are required to get an attorney for. So you wouldn't have been able to request restitution even if the court case had not been dismissed. And that's crazy because they emailed me back and said that I needed to get an attorney if I wanted the option to submit evidence. I have an email. It says it. One of the county clerks emailed me back because I emailed the county clerks and I said, how do I submit my evidence? And they said, you have to get in touch with an attorney in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, who will present the evidence for you in court. So they didn't give me an option to submit the evidence online. I would have had to email all of my evidence to an attorney. But that's besides the point. The whole court case is done with. I am not allowed to request restitution. And it really bothers me that I'm out a couple $1,000s, several $1,000s because of this nonsense where my attorneys weren't even able to represent me, but they did a lot of work for me. They called, they requested a Zoom meeting, they got information, they applied for Pro Hoc Vice, they submitted paperwork in my defense, but none of it was all null because they weren't licensed to practice in South Dakota. And so all I have to say is now, wrapping this video up, is that everything was dropped and I'm out a few $1,000s, which is terrible. And it's really shitty that people, whether they were coerced into submitting the paperwork or not, can file false, frivolous petitions against random strangers, cause the random stranger like me a financial detriment, cause me stress on my child's birthday, have this whole run around, and then just no, drop it like nothing even happened. It really bothers me. So, um, I don't really have anything else to say other than everything was in fact dropped, and court was today, but I wasn't accepted into the courtroom to speak to the judge because it was dropped. So, yeah. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's the reason why I spent so much on my attorneys. They had to go through that pro hoc vice process, submit paperwork just for it to get denied. They had to get in touch with clerks and attorneys for me. They looked for an attorney for me, but I wasn't going to pay 10 hours, $350 an hour for something. Like, this is just. And for those of you like wondering, oh, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, why did you get an attorney? Because I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not the type of person who has gone to court ever in my life. I take all this very seriously. I take my freedom seriously. And, you know, well, I wish everyone the best. I have no ill intent. I have no resentment towards the person who filed the petition or his girlfriend. I hope everyone has peace. I hope everyone's doing well. And I really hope that I can just be left alone to continue my journey on social media as a content creator, as a live streamer, without people and their antics interfering with my peace and enjoyment, my expectations of peace and enjoyment to live comfortably without being bothered to such a large scale. So, yeah, I would appreciate all of you to subscribe, become a member, support my live streams. This has been an insanely expensive hassle getting attorneys. All of your gifts in my live streams are so welcome right now. I'm saving back all of the money I've spent on attorneys, on my son's Invisalign, on all of these just for just ridiculous things, and that's where I'm at right now. So, yes, I did spend up to $24,000 on attorneys, but regarding this case in South Dakota, it was 2 to 3,000, 4,000, something like that, around there. No more than 3,500 ish, something like that. But I'm going to go now. I'm going to be live streaming on YouTube because I'm sure lots of you have questions. I'm going to upload this video and then I'm going to be battling on Favorited app. I appreciate all of your support and those of you who have good intent in your hearts, because I face so much scrutiny, harassment, cyberbullying, and hostility on a daily basis. And when things like this happen, it's such a bother, it's such a burden, and it's such a financial burden. And I know it was my choice to have attorneys, but what would you do, you know? Thank you.